What's your message to the people who are spreading misinformation?
I hate to sound like a mom, but shame on you. You know, shame on you. Politics doesn't belong in a life and death situation like this. These hurricanes don't know who votes for who. We are Americans, and we need to come together as Americans.
And finally, what does...
That is Vlad speaking with Tampa Mayor Jane Castor yesterday about the dangers of misinformation when it comes to these disasters. Misinformation is also impacting the FEMA workers who are trying to help people in the wake of Hurricane Helene while they're now preparing for Hurricane Milton. It's a mess. FEMA Administrator, that's Deanne Criswell, joins us now. Good morning to you, Ms. Criswell. I know you're on the ground in North Carolina, where you're still working as the clock is ticking, getting ready for Milton. What's your biggest concern as you sit here right now while we're waiting for this thing to hit?
Good morning. You know, as we're watching Hurricane Milton, you know, it increases in strength, decreases and increases. And what I want to make sure that people are doing is that they are still listening to their local officials. This is a massive storm that is going to bring catastrophic wind, but also flooding and storm surge. And so listen to your local officials. Nobody needs to die from this storm. I want people to get out of harm's way. You may still have time to get out, but listen to your local officials. They will tell you the best place for you to go, the best actions for you to take right now.
I don't know how you break through, though. I saw officials saying, look, write your name and your Social Security on your arm if you insist on staying, because we will not be able to help you. How do you break through when people just won't listen because they say, look, this is my home?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand people want to stay in their home and protect their home, but this storm is going to be like nothing that they have ever seen before. And I think the message that I try to get across is when we think about evacuation, we often think about these long lines of traffic going out of state, when in reality, you may only need to go a few miles. I remember talking to the St. Petersburg mayor who said their safe evacuation shelter was just 2 miles inland. That's what we need to focus on, is know exactly where to go. It may not be far. It'll get you out of harm's way for the storm.
Ms. Criswell, for those that might not have the means to travel out, that have to hunker down where they are, what advice do you have for them?
Pay attention to the local officials. Make sure you're charging up all of your devices right now so you have them available to use. And if you need immediate assistance, you know, your local officials, local first responders, call 911. And we're going to have additional teams in the area to support search and rescue efforts as the storm passes. But make sure that you're just making yourself as safe as possible right now, and continue to listen to the local officials so you know what the risks are and where they're at and when they're going to be where you are specifically located.
Ms. Criswell, I'd love to talk a bit about the resources that FEMA has right now. You're in North Carolina. You've got teams there in the South. You've got other teams that are working on the last hurricane that hit Florida, the debris there. And there's a report in the New York Times suggesting that only 10% of the overall resources of FEMA, 10% of the overall staff are actually available to work on the aftermath of Milton. That's concerning to people. What do you have to say on the subject?
Yeah, I mean, I read the report in the New York Times, and we have a layered approach to staffing. And the numbers that they report are a very specific part of our workforce, and that's our disaster management workforce. But we also have all of our other employees. In fact, when everybody signs on to work with us, we make them sign a statement that says every employee is an emergency manager. So we start to repurpose some of our steady state employees from headquarters, but we also move people around from non-critical, life-threatening offices or open field offices that we have to support the immediate needs. And then we're just one part of the team. We bring in the whole federal family, the entire federal government, to support the efforts that are going on across all of the states that have been impacted by this storm. But I'm not saying it's not going to be challenging. We know that there's a lot going on with all of these efforts, but we plan for this, and we've done this before.
Administrator Criswell, thank you.